What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and it's back! Whew, fall shows are about to return. Obviously, Fear the Walking Dead has already started back for its second half of the season, but I've still got some catching up to do there. However, first of the weekday shows have started back with Gotham. Returning for season 4, first episode, Pax Penguina. And I've been super pumped about this. I mean, they have been building up this season for a while now. You know, the whole Dark Knight, it's Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, just growing into becoming a superhero. It looks really awesome. It's looked like it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm excited to see it. They've been teasing the return of Scarecrow, teasing Penguin and Jim finally sort of showing down a little bit. So let's talk about this first episode, because this was the perfect way to kick off this new season. We see, basically the gist of this whole story is Penguin has started giving out these Penguin passes to criminals and allowing them to commit crimes as long as they've got the Penguin pass. He gets, a percentage of that. The mayor, for some reason, just agrees. I wish they would have delved into that a little bit more. Because based on what we saw, it just seemed like he was sitting there, he and the commissioner were both just like, really? Like, you really think this is a good idea? You really think we're just going to let people commit crimes just because you lowered the crime rate? I mean, really? You think that's okay? And then just, for some reason, they're just both like, okay, yeah, we're good with this, we're good. He even offers them like a lower percentage, and the mayor's just like, done, we're good. And I don't understand it. I wish they would, explain why the mayor was so eager to take a lesser percentage of what Penguin was offering him. But anyway, so we see these Penguin passes are coming out now, and these criminals, if they have one, they're allowed to commit the crime. The police let them go, and they have to give a percentage of it to Penguin. If they don't have the Penguin pass, generally somebody, most of the time it's Zsasz, steps in and stops them. Of course, this does not sit well with Jim Gordon, who he finds a guy robbing the bar that he frequents, and the guy's like, it's okay, copper, I got a Penguin pass. And Jim's just like, oh, okay, slams his head into the bar, takes him in, and Harvey's just like, look, you gotta let them do this. You have to let them go because they've got the Penguin pass. The commissioner okayed it, the mayor okayed it. You can't just do your own thing. So, obviously, this is going to ruffle Jim's feathers quite a bit. We also see that apparently he's trying to get everybody involved that he can. Zsasz goes and finds Tabitha and Selena. Tabitha's been training Selena to be much more of a fighter. We see her take on like a group of 5 guys, and she takes them down fairly easily. So very interesting little dynamic there. I'm hoping that Tabitha does sort of get a little bit more character given to her, because past 2 seasons she's either been just the sexy look or somebody for Barbara to be with. She hasn't really been an interesting character the past couple seasons. So I'm hoping that maybe they give her a bit more of a character this season as far as being Selena's mentor, teaching her, how to be a better fighter, how to, commit small crimes. So that's a little interesting dynamic, but Zsasz comes in and offers them a invitation to Penguin's party that he's having at the Iceberg Lounge. So very interesting to see how Penguin's sort of inviting these two, like, oh yes, come be a part of my organization. We also see Bruce he finds one of the Penguin passes, and because he and Alfred are kind of starting a crusade to not only prepare themselves to be ready for when Ra's al Ghul returns to Gotham, but Bruce also wants to try to save Gotham in the process. We see their interesting dynamic growing as Alfred is kind of instructing Bruce how to become a hero. It's not just, okay, let's go out and fight every single criminal that we can. He's very clearly trying to lead Bruce down the right path. And I love this little dynamic that they've got going on. It's been growing over the past few seasons, and now it's fully become sort of a mentee? What's the word for that? Mentory? No. It's pretty much, Alfred's the mentor to Bruce, who's trying to become more of a superhero. So, yeah, you got Tabitha training Selena, you got Alfred training Bruce, and then Bruce and Selena meet at the party and see each other after quite a while. Bruce apologizes, and that's pretty much all there is for them this episode. We do see Bruce interact with Penguin a little bit. I love how they're treating his character right now. It's such a Bruce Wayne / Batman feel, because it feels like he is starting to learn. You know, he's already got the entrance and exit down. He goes to visit Jim Gordon in the precinct. Jim turns around, oh, you're there. I didn't even hear you come in. And then they're talking. He's like, you should come over and have dinner with us tonight. He's like, yeah, I'd like that. You know, maybe sometime. Where'd he go? I love that scene because it feels like this is the beginning of it. This is where it starts. And so sure enough, we see that a little bit later as well. Whenever Bruce goes to talk to Penguin, he comes in as Bruce Wayne to communicate with him, to kind of be there as the bachelor, you know, the rich bachelor as well, that he will eventually become. But he comes in and talks to Penguin, finds out about this list that apparently has all of the names and the passes that people have. And so it will give him sort of almost like a guide to who's going to rob where, depending on who's got what pass, if there are crimes that are being planned in advance. You know, Penguin gives a pass to a guy to go rob a place. Well, Bruce now has the list. So we see him at the end. He goes and finds some guys robbing a place. He's leaning on the window. Somehow it breaks under his pressure. What a poorly made window. But anyway, he crashes in. The guys start to leave, and then the police walk in as, you know, he's like standing there, mask off. I don't really know why he did that. Why did he take off his mask and then why he just stand there as the police walked in? But, you know, it's his first outing as Batman, so of course it's not going to go as planned. It kind of makes sense. But that's pretty much Bruce's story for this whole episode. One little side note just to sort of throw in there because there's a scene that was just perfect. Bruce and Selina are up on the roof and they're talking to each other. Bruce is apologizing for his reaction last time he saw her because he kind of brushed her off whenever she came to the hospital. I don't think she was there to see Alfred, but she heard that Bruce was there and went to talk to him, and he kind of just brushed her off because he was so frustrated. So they do have a little bit of a conversation. I love this scene for so many reasons because not only does it work in their dynamic, you know, they're trying to figure each other out, they're trying to figure out who's going to gain the upper hand in the conversation, but Selina's like walking on the edge of this building on top of the roof, and then she tells Bruce, if you want to talk to me, why don't you come up here? Fully expecting him to just stay down there because the Bruce that she knew before, he was not only scared of heights, but he was worried about her. He was like, well, he would be like, why don't you come down and talk to me? But now Bruce, because he's growing, because he's becoming less fearful, he steps up instantly. And you can see the look on her face. She's like, well, that's different. And so they have a little bit of a conversation, and you could see her like walking closer and closer to the edge. And I don't know, it's like she's trying to test him. She's trying to see how far does this new Bruce let her go. To the point where she's like dangling a foot off the ledge. She's like, do you want to say anything to me? And he's just like, you look lovely in that dress. And that's it. And you could just see kind of you could see sort of the buildings of a romantic tension there. Because she's trying to test him. She's trying to see how far he's willing to go. And he's just completely playing along with her game and trying to find out what her limits are as well. So I thought that was a great little scene. They do have such good chemistry between the two of them. We've seen that already. But now we're seeing a bit more coming from Bruce's side. Most of the time it's just been like Selina teasing, playing with him, and Bruce doesn't want to play along. Now we're seeing a bit more of a confident Bruce, and I love seeing that. And then, of course, Alfred's finishing line. He walks up there, why can't you two just go to the theater just like normal teenagers? I'm just like, perfect line to finish off that conversation. But anyway, talk a little bit more about Jim's story for a second. I really enjoy where they're taking him right now. We see this gang at the beginning of the episode trying to rob a wedding. Zaz comes in, stops them because they don't have a Penguin pass, and then of course proceeds to rob the wedding himself. Side note, I didn't realize how much I missed Victor Zaz until this episode. I mean, God, I've missed him. He kind of became not really a side character, but he wasn't as involved in the past couple seasons. You know, he was just sort of there, but not really a factor. He's all over the place in this episode. When he goes and talks to Selina and Tabitha, another great scene. He comes in, Tabitha's just like, why does, Penguin took my club, why would I want to go see him? He's like, well, you did kill his mother, so call it even? I don't know, just the way he says it, it's perfect. But we do see this gang goes and gets Jonathan Crane out of the Arkham Asylum. They bribe the warden to let him go. I hope the warden doesn't return because he really, out of all the characters that we saw in this, he just was awful. I don't know what it was about him, but it's like he was trying to overly be creepy and weird, and it just didn't work. But that's like the only criticism I really have of this episode. But we see they get Jonathan Crane out to make a fear gas so that they can attack Penguin and sort of show that Penguin is not somebody that they need to fear, that they're better than him. And so Jim sees this as an opportunity. He goes to Penguin's lounge whenever he's being interviewed by people and sort of calls him out on this gang that attacked First National Bank and just like, oh, they're not scared of you and you're a fraud and all this stuff. So Penguin, of course, blurts out and says, I will hunt down this gang. They're cowards and all this stuff. So the guys see it on TV and they're like, all right, we're going to attack Penguin's Iceberg Lounge then. And so Jim tries to get the cops together so that they can take down this gang coming in. But unfortunately, we see that apparently the cops don't want to back Jim anymore. I'm very interested to see what happened to Alvarez because he was sort of a cop that he was a side character for sure, but he was one of the cops that definitely stood out as more of a good cop, a good solid cop. He did his job very well. He trusted Jim, and Jim trusted him. But at the end of last season, we saw he was affected by Tetch's the blood virus or whatever. He got affected by it, and he did attack some people. So I'll be interested to see what happened to him, but we don't see him at all in this first episode. So I don't know if maybe he's still dealing with the effects of the virus. I don't know if maybe he got some time off after that. I don't know what, but I would assume if he's involved, he's going to be one of the ones backing Jim because he generally is a good guy. But we see the commissioner walks in with a few cops and they just beat Jim up, and Jim's just like, well, I guess we don't have backup. So they're heading to the Iceberg Lounge. Penguin manages to see through Jim's ploy, captures the guys, and sort of puts them out for almost a public execution to show people, hey, I'm helping you, and this is how. I have to do the dirty work because nobody else will. So Bruce sort of calls him out on it and buys some time, I guess, for the guys, so that way, something bad can happen. For some reason, Ivy decides to turn against Penguin. Don't know her motivations. Penguin is just talking about how he's the one that helped the city. He's the one that the people should thank every night. And we see a look on her face. She's just like, psh, like upset about it. I don't really know why. But I assume we will figure out eventually what exactly is going on there. But she goes into the kitchen and is just like, enjoy your party, Penguin. And then like throws down a lever that turns off all the lights so that the guys can get up and attack. One of the guys sprays Penguin in the face with the fear toxin. Jim and Harvey step in and sort of calm everything, take the main guy into custody. Kind of like a good moment for Jim, for him to say, hey, the GCPD did this, this was us. So kind of the good guys win, but at the same time, things still aren't right in the world. But we do see this does affect Penguin's sort of public image because they see him like freaking out, and he sees Riddler outside of the iceberg, like in his face, like, oh, what is it, Oswald? Ah. So he's like freaking out and crying into Jim's shoulder, and that was a pretty funny scene. But yeah, so we see Penguin's images sort of been not really destroyed, but I guess mucked up for the moment. Jim gets a little bit of credit because he is the one that stepped in to help out Penguin to capture the guys. One of the guys manages to escape, and we do see the birth of Scarecrow ultimately, because they brought in a Scarecrow to torture him because every time he sees it, he sees like this monster coming at him. And so they just kept putting it in a room to kind of say, all right, do it. He's right there. He's forcing you to do this. And then they lock him in a room with it. And so ultimately that fear sort of overtakes him to the point where he puts on the Scarecrow and becomes the Scarecrow himself. So I don't know. I really like that. I don't know if they'll explain it, like the psychological aspects of it, but I don't think you need to. I think it sort of explains itself. He became what he feared the most. That's eventually what Batman's going to be. He's going to become what he fears the most, bats. So, I don't know. I kind of liked sort of the undertones, the subtlety of it. They didn't have to explain it. They just showed it. They showed how scared he was of the Scarecrow. They locked him in a room with it, and then he became the Scarecrow. Perfect. You don't need to explain anything else. So, yeah, that's about it for this episode. Scarecrow is out there. The guy lets him out, and he sprays him in the face with some fear toxin. Like I said, Bruce ends up captured by the police for the moment. I don't know what's going to happen next episode there. And Penguin is now a coward because he got sprayed with some fear toxin. So yeah, a lot of interesting things going on in this episode. Really did enjoy it. It's a great way to kick off this new season. And I hope they just continue. I hope they keep building off of this because they've got so many good things in this first episode that are building and building up to other things. I hope they can continue it. I hope they don't get scared of going too far, of pushing too many buttons on fans and stuff like that. I just want them to take all these ideas and just run with them. Go as far as you can. Make it great. So that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this first episode? What do you expect to happen this season? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Gotham reviews. I'll see you guys next episode. Peace out.